Okay, I think we should, you're recording. Okie doke. Sounds fair. Okay. We would like to thank our ASL sponsors, and that would be Rev Up Texas and Deaf Interpreter Services, and several candidates citywide, even knowing they would not be publicly recognized for this gift, who chose to support the effort tonight. Thank you for joining the Partners in Disability Vote this evening for the Conversation 360, the Vote in Disability. This section is being recorded and will be posted on the Disability website, YouTube channel, and social media platforms following tonight's conversation. We are here tonight with candidates running in the District 2 City Council race, which will be held on Saturday, May 1. The deadline to register to vote is this coming Thursday, April 1st. If you do not live in District 2 and would like to move to a different room, please select the leave room option, and a volunteer in the main room will assist you and get you to the room that you would prefer to be in. Okay. We are going to begin with pre-submitted questions and then entertain questions from the floor if time allows. And this being the most populous candidate forum, we're going to try to get through everything that we have on pre-submitted questions, and we'll consider that a great success. Let me remind you that the guidelines candidates are, which were emailed in advance, and they emphasize that responses directed at other candidates or in reference to other candidates will not be tolerated. You will receive a courtesy warning, and you will be removed if perpetuated. Okay, now we're going to get to know our candidates. You will each have 2 minutes to introduce yourselves, indicate why you're running for office, and why the disability vote is important to you. And we're going to wait while I get my 2-minute countdown here ready to go. And then we have an order of events. I don't know if you folks have been told, but we have this terrific order of events that has each person do. I guess I'm going to start with the Q1 on the order of events as opposed to ballot order for the introduce yourself. So we'll do it that way. And the first person in order for Q1 would be Jada Andrews Sullivan. I do not see Mrs. Sullivan here. And so we will go to candidate number 2 on the list, which is Carl Booker. And Carl, you're up.
My name is Carl Booker. I'm the owner of Avista Products and publisher of Black Video News at the Black Book. I'm running for District 2 City Council to continue my investment in the community. I've invested over 25 plus years in the community and investing in the people. I believe I have the leadership ability to actually move the district forward with creative ideas and solutions. The disability vote is just as important as any other vote. At times, African Americans have had a disability. So knowing some of those challenges will be an asset, and I'm able to take some of those experiences and help the disability community go forward.
Thank you. And the second candidate is Dory Brown.
Hi, good evening. I'm Dory Brown. Personally, I'm a mother, a minister, business owner. I've had a accounting business, tax business for several years, founder of a nonprofit. Have a degree in accounting from Our Lady of the Lake University. Been a homeowner at Lakeside since '95, award-winning gospel announcer. So I relate to a lot of different people. I've even received the Presidential Volunteer Service Lifetime Achievement Award for being out there working in the community. My focus really in this is first the people, the residents of District 2, especially in those areas of District 2 that feel like they're never thought about. Of course, holding city accountability, and then pushing growth within our district that doesn't smother the people, but it adds to the community while building up the city. Why do I think the disability vote is important to me? I don't see it as a disability vote, but I see it truly as a representation of the possibility vote. As I've worked with individuals with physical challenges, I never saw their disability, but because of their adaptability, then I kind of saw my disability, which was minimal adaptability. So I try to rectify that by taking ASL classes at San Antonio College. I would help them with communication and even doing it, on a computer during our staff meetings. And I've even taken the pledge to be the disability friendly, the pledge you all have. I've taken that pledge, and it was always something I was already living, so that was just a formal step. I'm a mother of a 5-year-old, so I am concerned about kids and getting back in school for their mental well-being as well. Thank you.
Okay, and the next candidate is Pharaoh Clark. 1 minute.
Yes.
Okay.
My name is Pharaoh Clark. I'm a man of strong faith. I'm a devoted husband. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, we can hit the reset button on that and get him pinned. There we go. Okay. Pharaoh, I'm going to hit the reset button on your thing. Ready? Set.
My name is Pharaoh Clark. I'm a man of strong faith, a devoted husband and father, a community advocate, and a civil rights leader. I have a proven track record in changing policies and working with law officials on the city, state, and county level to get things done. The reason that I feel that the disability rights are important is because I believe disability and civil rights are the same thing, and civil rights is something I have a strong track record in fighting for. Another thing that people don't often know about me is that on my spare time, I'm also a caretaker. I take care of my cousin who is disabled. I work for a man who is disabled and bedridden. And I also have my stepfather who's partially disabled because he suffered from a stroke. So I have firsthand experience in dealing with disabilities and understanding some of the places where we're lacking in care for our people that have disabilities.
You have another minute.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, as far as civil rights is concerned, I'm part of the team that was monumental in putting an end to the use of no-knock warrants and chokeholds here in the city. We also helped create the DA's first civil rights division within its unit. When it comes to us taking care of the city, we were also responsible for feeding over 9,000 senior citizens and families, as well as disabled members, not only during the COVID-19 pandemic, but also during the recent snowstorm that we saw throughout the city. So I think that through my history, I've proven to have a track record, not only of speaking about civil rights and taking care of people, but in actually living that on my day-to-day basis.
Okay, thank you. And the next candidate for this question is Nika Cleaver. Ready, Nika? And I'll wait until you're pinned. I'll wait until you're pinned. Just start this.
It's ready.
Okay, go. Go ahead, Nika.
All right. My name is Nika, and I am really, really excited to be running for District 2 Council. I have dedicated the last 10 years specifically to District 2, the city, the East Side, small businesses, minority businesses, initiatives, making sure they had a voice. Through that 10-year period, I have worked with everybody in the city, from the mayor to the council, to the city manager, to the judges, to the police, to the constable, to the sheriff. I've built great relationships. So we have literally gotten things done, changed laws, policies, and put holidays in place here in San Antonio. We have a great relationship with just the people who are in the district, our community centers, our initiatives that people are in charge of or heading up in our community. I'm about communication, and I get things done, and we don't take a long time to do it. So I know that I've proven my leadership within the community within the last 10 years with doing the work. I've been awarded for my work within the community, within all of San Antonio, and also District 2. As far as people who live with disabilities and Disability SA, I have actually worked with Disability SA for the last 6 years. I have hosted the Fiesta Especial, which I love to death, and I've had a great bond and relationship with every family and person who is involved with a Fiesta Especial. I work with Melanie to actually go down and fight in the courthouse to make sure that the disability community has a voice, which is she's done a great job with making sure that the voice is being heard, especially right now during this campaign. And they are, let me just say, I'm family. So at the end of the day, my website has ASL on it. You can go and everything is interpreted because I'm here for you guys.
Okay, time. One moment, between now and the next time we come on screen, the guidelines call for no banners to be in place. So we'll give you a shot, well, behind the screen to. The next candidate up is Norris Tyrone Darden. And 1 minute while I reset. And Norris, you ready?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go for it.
Thank you, guys. My name is Norris Tyrone Darden, and why am I running for District 2 City Council? I believe I'm the candidate that has the experience, the education, and the energy to get the community to the next level. But just for the sake of this forum, I want to talk about my passion for the community, and specifically my passion for the disability community. So I have my bachelor's degree in criminal justice, but I also have a master's degree in education with a focus in special education. So over the last 18 years, I've been an educator who's been working with the disabled community within our public school service. And that's a range of things, a range of disabilities. And ultimately, we've always had the drive and always had the goal to assimilate and to assure all those services and all those needs were being met. For me as a council person, I have that skill set and I have that experience to understand that with accommodations, with modifications, that there will be and there has to be connectivity for our disabled community. So it won't be a will I, it will be how far will I go with this? Because ultimately that is a passion I have, connecting those who do not have those services with those services. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next candidate is Chris Dawkins. Ready, Chris?
I'm ready. My name is Chris Dawkins, as you said. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. I've been in San Antonio about 20 years. When I first moved to San Antonio, I said that I would not come here if I didn't have a job. So the first job I began working was for a company called World Technical Services. World Technical Services is a company that's a JWAD company. I think the people with disabilities will know about JWAD and will know that I think JWAD is now called Ability One. JWAD stands for the Jacob Wagner O'Day Act, which is a type of disabilities that Lady Bird Johnson, I think, was the first who put that into place, especially around the country, but also in San Antonio, in the state of Texas. We took people with disabilities all over the state. We had about 400 employees all over the state, and we took care of the majority of the rest stops and some government places providing jobs for people with disabilities. That was what our job was. So from a standpoint of disabilities, I know firsthand what disabilities and people with disabilities. And the one thing that I would say is that you cannot always look at a person and tell that a person has a disability. You just don't know who's going to have the disability. The reason why I'm running is that District 2 has had some challenges at the council level in the past. These issues have come from inexperience, inability, immaturity, and just basically ineffective administrators. We don't get to know the person who how they govern before we actually vote for them, but we know that the person has to possess that knowledge. Although the council position is
Time.
Thank you.
And the next candidate is Michael Good. Michael, you on tap? Michael?
You are
Michael.
muted, Michael.
Michael, you're muted. Can you unmute yourself? Michael? Michael, unmute yourself.
How's that?
Okay. All right, you're unmuted. Okay, ready?
Yes, ma'am.
You're up.
My name is Michael Good. I'm a on and off lifelong resident of District 2. My ties to the disabled community are, for one, I had a catastrophic illness a few years ago and had mobility issues, and it was an eye-opener as far as the challenges that people with physical disabilities face. It's hard to imagine that we still have restrooms in town that are not ADA compliant and access ramps at some places. I also have a friend who is in rehab right now after being involved in a catastrophic motorcycle accident and seeing the challenges that not only himself has faced physically, but his family has had to adapt to. And it has been an eye-opener. And there's a lot more that we need to do and must do. That's all I have, ma'am.
Thank you. And the next candidate is Walter Perry Sr. Walter?
Hi, good evening. My name is, can you hear me? Hi,
Yes.
my name is Walter Perry and I'm running for District 2 City Council. I want to take the district in a different direction. And I think it's important to be advocates for the disabled community because they are still experiencing wide accessibility gaps. And it's important that we bridge those accessibility gaps and also provide the resources to disabled individuals in need, and also provide the resources for new technology, and we want to do research for any types of disabled people that can be cured for those diseases. So they need a wide range of things, but the most important thing is that they need advocates to shorten the accessibility gap. It's very wide. I see it at school, even though I see improvements, there's a lot that needs to be done. And there also needs to be education and compassion for disabled people. So I, as city council, I'm going to be very compassionate and I'm going to be an advocate to bridge the gap and make sure that there's funds for them to help them in whatever they need. Thank you.
Thank you. And just checking one more time to see if Andrew Vincencio has joined us, and I don't believe he has, but if he has, speak up. If not being the case, then we are going to go on to Christy Villanueva. Christy?
Thank you. My name is Christy Villanueva, and I made a decision to run for city council very recently, and I do not take this decision in a lighthearted manner. Prior to making this decision, I was the president and CEO of the West San Antonio Chamber, helping to support small minority-owned businesses throughout the city of various sizes. What was important to me and how this aligns with District 2 City Council is that I was able to see the deficiencies in the district, the decisions that were being made through the leadership over the years, and essentially the lack of attention to detail related to the strategic planning for our neighbors and our community members. This also gave me a glimpse into the opportunity to coach and visit with business owners on how they did need to be ADA compliant and how relatively easy that was if they would just take a moment to look at what their customer base was. From what I know over the years, I've been working with ADA compliance since I was in Corpus Christi when I was in my early 30s, late 20s, early 30s, through another public transit agency. And that transitions into what we are seeing today, or should I say the lack thereof. I also was made aware over the years that the disability persons with disabilities make up more than 20% of our voter base. And we should pay attention and allow this progress to be made. This should be priority one, because it does impact folks with disabilities and those without. And so I plan to be very supportive of all community members. Thank you.
Okay. And we're going to go on to the next questions. And sorry about that. Let me get to the next questions. You will have on each of these questions 1 minute each. And it seems to me that it would be fair to all of you if I tried to give you a 10-second warning. Would that be a little bit easier for you to wrap it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. We'll do something more fair. And in this go round, the first the first candidate, okay, I perhaps screwed this up last time. So the first candidate will be Dory Brown. Okay, sorry, but we're still not going in the same order, so we'll be good. Okay, and the question for all of you is, and this was submitted by the community, currently a lack of disability data impacts the ability to remove barriers for an equitable quality of life for those living with a disability. How would you work to ensure a disability identifier question is added to all city surveys, applications, and other forms where other optional demographic questions, as in race, ethnicity, age, gender, LGBTQ identity, income, are collected? Okay, how would you work to ensure a disability identifier question is added to all city surveys, applications, and other forms where demographic information is collected? And as I said on this one, we are going to go first with Dory Brown.
Well, that encompasses a lot, but I know in my questionnaire, trying to think of how to handle that, I would propose administrative changes within the city departments to make sure all the detailed demographic questions are included in all the surveys that influence changes in the city. So we have to be very proactive in making sure all that is out there as well as collected. I'd reach out to all city commissions to ensure that they recognize the need to include disability demographic questions are recognized as well. We have to be on one page, be uniform, be proactive, and making sure that we address this. And then make sure we have a plan of not just saying getting the data, but making sure the data is properly processed and shared between all city levels and commissions. And just to make sure that everything is handled properly. I can't get that out this way. And so it'll take a little work, but in the end, it'll be worth it.
Sorry, forgot to unmute me before I said, okay, thank you. And the next candidate on this randomized list, I know there's a number 2 there, is Nika Cleaver.
All right, well, this is actually currently already happening. So this past year, I think there was 4 identifier questions that were added to city, whether it be city questionnaires and definitely the questionnaires that we saw this year within the candidates. So already Disability SA is already working hard to get questions included in the city. So we have to continue to support that. And instead of people like Melanie and other members of the organization having to get signatures or go to City Hall every week to ask for this to happen, as a city council person, we can actually bring it to the council and say these identifiers actually need to be in these particular questionnaires throughout the city. So they don't have to do all that legwork themselves. That's something that's already being discussed and will have a voice within the city. But it's something that's
10
already
seconds.
happening, and very excited about the strides that were made in 2020 with identifier questions.
Okay, thank you. And the third candidate to answer would be Chris Dawkins.
Okay. I maybe would like to approach this maybe a little bit differently and form some people with disabilities so that we begin to make a movement of not only this, but other things that have to come, because I can definitely see that when we're looking at housing for seniors, different things like that, that the disability people are not included. It costs a little bit more to make a home or an apartment available for for people with disabilities. So what I'd like to do is bring those people together, poll the current council and the mayor, find out who's for and who's against. I would then like to present that and then do that so that we have more of an awareness than just doing it.
10 seconds.
I think awareness is the most important thing. I don't think there are going to be too many people that are against it, but we do have to make people aware of it, not only at the city level, but also those people in the community.
Thank you. And the next candidate for this question is Walter Perry Sr.
Yes, thank you. I agree with what everybody just said, but I want to go a little bit deeper and take a different approach. I also want to build on customer service and technical support for customers with disabilities. A lot of times I do taxes, and sometimes people with disabilities are called and they have a hard time articulating themselves. And for me, sometimes I do get a little impatient, and that's because I have to be trained to be patient with people with disabilities. So customer service and technical support is very important, but you can have all the identifiers you want, but there's no one on the other line to explain and to be patient with somebody who's trying to identify with what they are, then they're going to have trouble. So I will go with customer service and technical support, so that way I can make sure that they get the help that they need hands-on.
You have 10 seconds.
I'm going to keep it for next time.
Okay. Okay, and the next candidate is Christy Villanueva.
Thank you. So ensuring the disability identifier is there. So I know from my experience with many of the city employees and just government entities in general, this is something that's difficult for many employees to just ask. They bring it to the table, the information, and then a lot of these questions end up being taken off. As what was mentioned earlier, questions are being added, but more still needs to be done. Information through Disability SA and other nonprofit organizations need to be shared so we can all have a better comfort level in creating, in being part of the inclusionary measures that need to be done. And obviously we need to always, with every meeting, we need to have accommodations for folks with disabilities at all levels so they can respond. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next, okay, the next person in order is Carl Booker.
Yes, the disability identifier is important. The city of San Antonio does have an equity department that addresses that as well. Having that information is very important. Disability and knowing that a person has a disability is important, but knowledge alone does not motivate behavior. So once we know someone is disabled, how do we encourage them to either be hired or have their voice heard is important to that knowledge base. So it's just not enough to know that someone is disabled. We must be motivated by our behavior and action on how we accommodate our disability community.
You have 15 seconds.
I yield that to Mr. Tyrone Darden.
There are no rules against being nice. And the next candidate is Pharaoh Clark.
Well, I agree with a lot of what was said before me. What I would say to add to that is that I would work with, again, city, county, and state officials to try to educate on why these questions should be asked and on how these questions can help create that equity. I believe a lot of the times when it comes to simple things with disability community, it's education. Sometimes those of us that don't have those same disabilities don't see the need for. So I think education is going to be a huge part of it. And then also I'd like to go further and also adding that we need to start doing more at teaching empathy towards people with disability at a young age, so that we grow up already understanding that there's all types of people and that not everybody has the same
10 seconds.
but in no way does that make that person any less of a person. And we all need to do whatever we can to make sure we accommodate those people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the next person is Norris Tyrone Darden.
Yes, ma'am. Make sure you put my extra time on there too. I'm just kidding. So if I understand the question, how will I work with the city to get this identifier as part of the practice of the city? So number one, I'll have my staff do the research. Are there any other municipalities that have already taken on this challenge and move forward with it? If they are, then we can go ahead and introduce that to other council members and see how we can work together to get a CCR over to council to be on the agenda to get the ordinance passed. If there isn't, then we just need to figure out how can we get it done. At the end of the day, veterans, that data is collected for veterans, that data is collected for other entities. We need to make sure it's collected for our disabled community as well. And so just the short version would be doing the research and getting it done through CCRs and the council.
10 seconds.
I'm good. Thank you.
And the next candidate is Michael Good.
This is managed by
I believe he just disconnected.
Miss
Can y'all
Charlotte,
hear
real
me?
quick,
Oh,
can I
yeah,
ask
yeah.
you? This is Dory. Real quick, since there's so many of us, like when you get past
Can
6,
y'all
can
hear
you
me?
repeat the question?
Yes, we can hear you, Mr. Good.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Yes, I can
I,
do that. Michael, are you with us?
When I had my, yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Yes,
can
we
hear you now.
you.
Can you hear me? Okay. When I had my medical issue, I went and there wasn't even any handicap parking for me. I think these statistical requirements are mandated by federal law, and it's something that needs to be addressed immediately because this affects the quality of life of people. So me having had a temporary taste of what it's like to have mobility issues and just getting around, I luckily healed and did not have to suffer long term. But it is something, this is something that affects the quality of life for people. is acceptable to not address it immediately. That's all I have to say, ma'am.
Okay, you had 10 seconds. And the
I'm
next,
done. Thank you.
the next candidate, would be Andrew Vicencio, who's not here. So we're going to go on to the next question. Question 2 is, and this is a nice short one, but I will we'll put it in the chat so you can refer to the chat also. How do you see your district office working better with our disability community on the city level? And the first question this time, the first answer, the first candidate, how about that, will be Nika Cleaver.
So I just know that I already work really heavily with the disability community. So they're not left out at all. We have a voice within my campaign. We'll have a voice within the district, and we'll continue to do the work that Disability SA has done such a great job throughout the past years, and continue to get the voice heard, data collected, like one of the things that they want to do, and make sure that there's resources for the disability community. So everything that I do already has the disability community in mind. Like I said, they're on my website. ASL is on my website. I have an interpreter at all of my speeches, on all the videos that I do for the community. They're already included wholeheartedly within everything that I do. So that will just continue in the office, and then we'll step up whatever we need to step up to make sure that they're represented properly.
Thank you. And the next candidate for this question is Pharaoh Clark.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. One of the things that I think that we'll be doing differently than what's being done now is our office would have a specific committee formed on disability and the needs of the community of the disabled community, my bad. And what this will help do is help ensure that we're not only addressing what we believe their needs are, but what the actual needs of the community are. And it would be the job of this committee to go out and, go out throughout the district and talk to different people and ensure that not only are the needs being met, but also that the resources that we have available are being distributed equitably throughout the community.
You have 20 seconds.
Oh, okay. I just think that that's going to bring a difference to the table, because we can always talk for the needs of others, but I believe as representatives, it's our job to let the community speak for itself, and we are to amplify that voice. So I would want to bring people that are actually have whatever disabled feature, and they can come on and talk to us about what the issues may be, and then we act accordingly to address those issues.
Time. Thank you.
No, thank you.
And the next candidate is Norris Tyrone Darden.
Yes, ma'am. So for me, the district office will work better with our disability community, very simply through inclusion. And what does inclusion look like? It looks like, number one, continuing developing those relationships with organizations like this, as well as many others. But beyond all that, looking for what the opportunities are. We have many boards and commissions that are unfilled, that need to be filled, that our diverse community has so many people that can fill those voids in those boards and commissions instantly. And so whether it be in the office on staff, whether it be boards and commissions, whether it be committees, whatever it is, it'll be an opportunity through inclusion to be a part of the office at the city level. Thank you.
And you have another 15 left over.
We can bank it.
And the next candidate would be Dory Brown.
Tyrone took some of my thought here, but we don't have to recreate the wheel. We're already talking to you. So you're already a resource with the Disability SA, and making sure we have that true partnership, to keep us accountable within the district, it's step one. We can look at our governor who's disabled and know that disability doesn't mean that you're not able to do anything. We just have to make sure that we connect with those people, those individuals who want to be a part, who want to contribute to the district, who want to be that voice, to be a part of the plan, help us move forward, help us stay accountable and working with the district. I don't ever feel like the city council person is there to represent the people. We're not doing the people a favor.
10 seconds.
You know,
sorry.
the people are doing a favor by allowing us to serve them. And so partnership is the main thing.
Thank you. The next candidate is Chris Dawkins.
I want to be able to know the community, and before anything is done, I would like to make sure that we do something with the community so we know what the disability community is asking, what it is that they want. I don't want to assume. So I don't want to say maybe that they will work or how we're going to work with them, other than to say that we're going to give them a seat and ask them exactly what it is that they want and how we can best help them. That's the best way that I can see that we might be able to help them.
Thank you. And you have 20 seconds in the bank.
I'll give it to Lou Miller.
Lou Miller isn't a candidate.
No, he's not a candidate, so he
Oh.
can't take it. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Thought he was.
No. Well, not for this seat for sure. The next candidate is Michael Good.
Can you repeat the question, ma'am, so I stay on focus?
Absolutely. As soon as I find my mute button. How do you see your district office working better with our disability community on the city level?
On the city level, I would like to reach out to our not-for-profit groups and volunteer groups. I actually participated in the National Association of Home Builder student chapter at St. Philip's College. We actually went out and built a wheelchair ramp for a gentleman who was literally a prisoner in his own home because he could not get out of his home. He was wheelchair bound and he did not have the capacity to get out. We built him a ramp, and unfortunately it was less than a year after we built that ramp that he passed away. But for that time, he was able to get out and he was able to have a higher quality of life. There are people suffering in the community that need help, and I would reach out to nonprofits and student groups. I mean, we have trade groups at St. Philip's that have
5 seconds, sorry.
associations that are willing to help. Thank you.
And the next candidate for this question is Walter Perry.
Thank you. I think the best way is to continue to build awareness about accessibility. Accessibility is the biggest thing for disabled people. And we have to make sure that we're advocates to shorten this accessibility gap. We also must invest in technology for disabled people. We do this by partnering with the developers, so that way we can give them the support and the guidance that they need to help people with disabilities. We have to upgrade our disabled community because we're looking at them as so prehistoric, but they are smart and we have to be there support. And like I said, accessibility is the biggest thing that we need to be advocating for. There's not enough accessibility for disabled people.
10 seconds.
I think that's the best way to partner with groups like yours, with the city, is to promote accessibility.
Thank you. And the next candidate on this question is Christy Villanueva.
Thank you. So the one thing that I know in running my own office and teams And also coming from the Via Metropolitan Transit Board of Trustees, we are not the experts, and we need to make sure that, you know, leadership starts from the top. So the office that I would be running, I would make sure that each and every staff member is trained properly. We make sure that we are coordinating meetings on a regular basis with organizations like yourselves and others. There are a slew of other nonprofit organizations within the city and around Bexar County that need our support, and we need to hear their voice. The other thing that we need to do is prioritize those in the disability community to make sure their voice is being heard loud
10
and clear,
seconds.
and to make sure that we continue working together each and every day. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next candidate is Carl Booker.
How do we better work with the community, the disability community? First, we need to establish the standard. We don't know we're doing a better job unless we know where we stand. We need to find out currently through city staff and then of course the community, where does the community or District 2 stand in regards to outreach? Once we establish that, we can possibly fix or enhance through technology and through community involvement and also through some type of index. So how we better the community is by establishing standards, then improving on those standards by listening to the community.
You have 15 seconds.
I yield my time.
Thank you. And I think that's everybody on this question. And so we will go on to question number 3. And this is a question that came in from the community again. How do you see yourself being a role model for kids and adults with disabilities, especially looking for work, trying to build trust in adults? Tell us a little bit about how you see yourself as a role model and a leader who is paving the way toward independence for youth and adults with disabilities in the San Antonio community. And yes, I will repeat that again because it's a long one, but the short part of it is, how do you see yourself as being a role model? And the first candidate to answer on this will be Walter Perry.
And the question is also in the chat.
Oh, okay, yes. Well, I'm definitely going to be a champion for assistive technology. Like I said, the disabled community needs to be upgraded. They need compassionate outreach to meet their needs. We have to be very compassionate. I'm also into making the internet more accessible. I want things to be as easy as possible for them. And I want running their errands every day to be easy. So I'm definitely going to be partnering with Via and Via Trans, and hopefully one day we can get Uber and rideshare so that way we can get that service for them. That way they can have supplemental transportation. I want to partner with as many transportation services as I can so that way we can alleviate the way of accessibility. I can't stress this enough. Accessibility, accessibility, accessibility. That is the Achilles heel to every disabled person is accessibility. So I'm going to be a champion for accessibility for all disabled people. Thank you.
Thank you. And you have another 10 seconds. I'm sorry.
In my last 10 seconds, I want to say that I love the disabled community and I will be your champion.
Thank you.
Hey, brother, y'all got a jump box that I could get? Okay.
Michael Good, turn off your.
Charlotte, you're muted.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Michael. Michael Good? Michael Good? We need you to answer a question. Can you hear us, Michael?
He's on mute.
Michael? Michael? Yes, I think you're good. I think you're, well, unmute yourself again. Michael, unmute. Unmute yourself.
Are we good now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Okay.
Thank you.
Do you need me to repeat the question?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I have worked with the population, used to be in the grocery business, the people that we had working, most loyal, dedicated employees, never called in sick, did exactly what you asked them to do. We need to incentivize hiring people that need accommodations to assist them in helping. They want to work and they take pride in their work. And I would actually, if I had a business and somebody applied, I would be biased towards them just because of the track record that I have had with the population in the past. They are excellent workers.
10
They
seconds.
need opportunity. And we need to expand those opportunities for them. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next candidate to answer this question is Carl Booker.
The best way I know to be a role model for the disability community is by example. The best way for them to see how they fit into a community is through by example with leadership, not only through city council, but also throughout their neighborhood. Role models play an important role in how they are characterized and how they see themselves in the future. If they know someone with disability, they're going to possibly look at their role and how they are included in the community. And I believe it's the same way that we find out how to become a millionaire. We ask a millionaire. So if we want to know what it's like to be disabled and how we succeed in our environment, we have to go through best business practices or best community practices. And that's the best way I know how to be a role model.
You have 10 seconds.
Yield my time.
Okay, and the next person on this question is Nika Cleaver.
So I really hope that I'm already a role model for people who live with disabilities. I actually, through all the years that I've been working with Disability SA, I don't just go and host events. I actually go and make friends and meet new people. So with every event and with every year, people who are a part of the community remember me, know me, and we continue to have conversations. So I ask them how life is going and how their new job or their new apartment, whatever things have happened in their life. I've had them on my radio show to highlight the great things that they've done within their life and fundraising that they've done for Disability SA. So it's about inclusion, making sure that people work in the office, giving them the power to be able to do things within the community so they can show their leadership and have their voice within the district. So I really pray that I'm already that role model.
10 seconds.
I've been working with the community for so long, and I'll continue to be a supporter and a cheerleader for everything that people who live with disabilities do.
Thank you. And the next candidate on this question is Christy Villanueva.
Thank you. I think there's a lot of different ways we could answer this question, but I think one of the very catchy sayings, if you can see it, you can be it. And I love that saying because I believe as a council person serving the community, the office should make sure that we provide the opportunities to gather at an accessible facility and tap into the disability community that is successful, that has broken the glass ceiling, that has made great strides for young people, for veterans, and for people of all ages. On the VIA board, I served with a disabled woman, wonderful person who really gave the enlightenment to me on what we really needed and how we could truly be mentors. So I want to make sure that we're constantly attaching
10
ourselves
seconds.
to the successful pieces to share with youth and other adults in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next candidate is Norris Darden.
Yes, ma'am. So as I stated earlier, by trade, I've been a special education educator for the last 18 years. Also in college, my job, the last 3 years in college, I worked at an MHMR facility in New Braunfels called River Gardens. And so just my background over the last 21 years has been working with the community, the disability community. With that being said, I have a heart and a passion for this community, and so being a role model is it's just first nature for me. One thing I do want to note, though, to gain that those relationships, to gain that trust, it has to be a give and take, and you have to be a giver. And so working with young people through transition, through the workforce, working with DARs, and even their parents, tying them into opportunities and resources, building them up, that has shown the opportunities that they
10
can be more,
seconds.
and that together we can work to build this community. Thank you.
Okay, and thank you. The next candidate is Dory Brown.
Thank you. And being a role model, I want to say first thing, first, disabled people have a heightened sense of recognizing sincerity. So you can't come to them with this facade of who you may be. When it comes to kids, to young people, my niece even told me the other day, in relating with my kids' friends, I'm known as Auntie Dory, whether it's football, golf, soccer. When they come to me, that's how, they approach me, how they talk to me, because so they know that there's a real sincerity of love and concern for them. And so in being that role model, they have to know that you're truly concerned about them, even when it comes into the adults. In my experiences of having worked with disabled people, they just kind of gravitate to me. And I didn't take that for granted, and whatever they needed,
10
however I could
seconds.
help them, I would address, help them. And even when I left town for a couple of years and came back to my old job, all those hearing impaired people, they came to me asking me to help them. And I
Time.
didn't even work there anymore. And so they know when they can trust you. And so you just have to make sure you're that real person that can be trusted. And when you're that, then you become a role model. Role model doesn't
Thank
come
you.
first.
Time. And the next candidate on this question is Chris Dawkins.
I've thought a lot about this question, and all the answers have been rather good. But at the same time, I don't know if we start out thinking to try to be a role model, if you can really be a role model. I think the real role models are those people with disabilities that go out every day, despite their disability. They work in the community, they travel, the things that we as either a council person or just an individual person, we haven't made it available for them to be able to make their life easier. They're the real role models, not us. So I think that when we look at them, we have to
10 seconds.
really ask them what it is that they need and what we can do for them. I don't know if I can be a role model for somebody with disability. I really don't. They are my role model. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dawkins.
Yes, sir.
The next candidate on this question is Pharaoh Clark.
Yes, Okay, so I'd have to agree with Mr. Dawkins, but I'd like to think that my own personal story would be one of role model to them, or at least inspire them. I myself, when I was young, was diagnosed with the disability of ADHD. And so having dealt with that all my life and still dealing with it today as an adult, I know what it's like to have to overcome adversities that others don't have and to have to try that much harder to overcome things that come natural to others. So I think in showing them through stories like mine that no matter what you go through, you can still overcome and achieve. That's one way of being a role model. I also think, though, we should expand our mentorship programs, our education programs, and our job training programs when it comes to dealing with people that may have disabilities, to make sure that they're actually achieving the highest level
10
of
seconds.
potentials. A lot of times I think that they're overlooked and they're underserved. So I'd like to take time to make sure we address that in my office.
Thank you. Michael, if you can hear me, please keep yourself on mute in between so that you don't disrupt the other candidates.
Yes, ma'am.
We're on to question number 4 here. And the question is, again, from the community. What is being done to educate the disabled population about voting? I'd like each of you to share where you see opportunities for partnering with the county to work toward increased voter turnout from the disability community. And the first candidate on this question to answer this question will be Chris Dawkins.
Another difficult question. I know our race is nonpartisan, but I think at the state level, especially, that there are obstacles that are being put in place that make it difficult for our seniors to vote. Not seniors, but our disability people. And when you look at our governor, who is a person with a disability, we've got to ask ourselves, what can we do, or how can we make it better for them? I'm not so sure that we can do anything at the city level or maybe at the county level, because every time we try to do something there, we're stopped at the state level. So we have
10
to
seconds.
work and join in with our disability community to offer something to the state and to let their voices be heard, that we need changes made so that voting can be easier and not more difficult.
Thank you. And the next candidate for this question is Pharaoh Clark.
When it comes to making sure that our disabled citizens have all the access to voting, I think that one thing we have to do is make sure that we're utilizing all the technology available and possible to make sure that we're actually locating where all of our disabled residents are. And then I believe that we have to reach out to them not only with educational materials that fit their whatever their disabled capacities are. We need to send them out educational material on who's there being voted for, what they stand for. But I also believe that we should be doing everything in our power possible to make sure that the disabled population is being allowed to vote by mail. I don't believe people with disabilities should be made to have to come down and wait in line when we have other options available.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
The next candidate on this question is Carl Booker.
How we educate the voters is pretty much through technology. I know for the campaign that I'm running, to be able to submit Braille, whether they're door hangers or flyers, Braille is not cheap. So, how we get the message out is through the technology arm. whether it's through the internet or through FM transmitter. There's several ways that you can communicate to the community at large. I do believe it is a moving target, but once we can acquire the target, we can go forward and address any issues that they might have as far as education on voting and the candidates.
Thank you. The next candidate is Dory Brown.
Repeat that question, please.
Sure.
Oh, did you finish that?
What is being done to educate the disabled population about voting? I'd like each of you to share where you see opportunities for partnering with the county to work toward increased voter turnout from the disability community. Okay.
Okay, as far as in regards to educating the voters, I think this platform is a great way to do that. And if we, even as candidates, can get the information out through like your organization or your platforms to people that they can share this information of what is being done and that their vote does matter. As far as actually like working with the county, if we can come up with a process of helping them get to the polls, we got to start with step one. So if it's a matter of getting them to the polls, if we can find some grants or something to work with our ride share companies or like via trans on election day or from the time of early voting, that can provide free service to those individuals who want to go out and vote.
10
we can
seconds.
make sure that's in place. And so that from the city with the county, I think that would be beneficial in helping them get to the polls, at least starting with step one. And of course, through your platform, Disability SA, getting them informed of the elections.
Thank you. The next candidate on this question is Christy Villanueva.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So what is being done to educate the community? So what I've actually reached out to the county on several different occasions because in support of my neighbors and other folks that I have worked with. Most of them have either been they're disabled veterans or they're in the elderly population of our community. What I've noticed is there is somewhat of a lack of cooperation and in getting answers directly from the county, because we have to be realistic about this question. The county does control everything that happens when we are ready to go vote, whether it's in the general or the municipal election. And we have seen that on the east side, there is a
10
lack
seconds.
of polling stations. So we do need to attack this at different levels, both at the county and the state level, and making sure we're making the biggest impact possible to make change in accessibility.
Thank you. And the next candidate is Walter Perry.
Yes, again, I will push for assistive technology and creating the access. That is the number one thing that hinders people with disabilities is lack of access. So that means having access to proper internet, also having access to rideshare, like one of the other candidates said. But I want to also advocate for resources that limit the barriers to accessibility. So I believe that the biggest way to be a champion, to do anything for the disabled community, is to create all the access that they need. A lot of the disabled people, they don't want you to help them. Because matter of fact, I tried to help one of them. He said, "Leave me alone." And I said, "Okay, got it." He just needed the access. He just needed me to get out of his way so he could go where he needs to go. He didn't need me to help him pick him up. So
10
I don't want to
seconds.
look at these people as helpless. I want to look at it as I'm helping them get better. So creating the access in any way possible, that's what I'm going to do.
Thank you. And the next question, next candidate, I'm sorry for this question, is Michael Good.
Can you hear me, ma'am?
I sure can.
Okay. I think collaborating with Miss Cal Allen, who runs the Bear County Elections Department, is a start, and just getting the word out through service providers to let them know and create some excitement for the people. The community is very, that I have experienced, are very civic minded, and they want to exercise their right to vote. So getting the word out through Ms. Cal Allen, possibly doing mailers to addresses, and working with service providers, because service providers have access to these people and they have the confidence of these people. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Okay, back on mute. Michael, back on mute. Got it. Okay. Okay, who's not on mute right now? The next candidate to answer this question is Nika Cleaver.
Okay, so let's start with what I have control over as a candidate. So as a candidate, I wanted to make sure people that live with disabilities were informed. So I have ASL on my website. I've had an interpreter at all of my speaking and all of my events. And I work with the disability community to make sure that I was connected. I have been connecting with people who live with disabilities. When it comes to the county level of it, we have to do the same thing when we're dealing stuff with the city level and working with the other council members. We have to work with Tommy, the commissioner for precinct 4. We have to work with Judge Wolf, let them know the numbers, let them understand the amount of people who live with disabilities in our city, which is thousands, right? So we need to let them understand the importance of communicating what they need to know during election time, like anybody else. So it's the same thing with the relationships that I've built with both city and county and the people that run this city, really sitting down with them and saying, this is the things that we need to do and how do
10
we get
seconds.
done? And if we need more resources to make it happen, finding those resources.
Thank you. And the next candidate for this is Norris Tyrone Darden.
Yes, ma'am. So what is being done to educate the disabled population about voting? I'm assuming this is coming from the perspective of the city. I would say next to nothing is being done, not only to educate the disabled population, but the population in general. It has been said that the city prefers a low voter turnout because with low voters, the things that are being pushed can easily get pushed through. With that being said, we have to do a better job as candidates engaging the community. And once elected, we need to push for the city to do a better job and have a more comprehensive plan for civic engagement. In regards to partnering with the county and making things more accessible, we need to figure out what are the options now and hold the county accountable for those things. And then finally, on a federal level, we need to just ensure our disabled community have all those rights to access as everyone else. There should be no barriers. There should be no obstacles. And as elected officials, we should leverage the office with the state and with the federal government, with those elected officials to make things happen in their favor. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a quick question. Tyrone, you were the last person on this question. It is now, 12 minutes before the hour, and I'm not sure. And Jade, do you know, are we going to get kicked out of this room if I ask another question and we're halfway through?
I'm not sure, but I can.
Can you find out? Because I don't want to start that process and then have us be kind of turn into pumpkins in the middle of someone's question. That would be no fun.
I'll check
Okay.
right now.
I do have another question for you guys if we can do this, but as I said.
Hey, Charlotte.
Well, you
Yes.
can tell us the question so we can think about it.
Okay, I'll tell you the question so you can think about it. And then I'll tell you what, if we can't do it right now, we'll do it in the Nowcast one, okay?
Hey, Charlotte.
Yes.
You're doing great, by the way.
Oh, you are so kind. You
Yeah.
guys are so nice. I mean, I've done all sorts of technical things. I've never been the driver on a Zoom before. Can you imagine? Okay, so the question is, my second question is for District 2. The area in which I live has very poor lighting, and it makes it difficult for people to see when I am traveling at night in my electric wheelchair. Take the next minute to talk to you about how you might work to prioritize safety for district residents when working to bring funds into the district to increase lighting, sidewalk repairs, and GAP's National Night Out and other safety protocols and problems. Certainly a good question. Okay, we need some theme music here.
Are you asking that to a specific candidate or like?
Well, no, actually, Walter, we're waiting to find out if we ask that question. There are indeed what 9 of you, and there is 9 minutes left. I want to make sure that, that if we ask that question, the number 9 doesn't go poof, right? Or number 9 and number 8.
So more than likely, because it is a Zoom and it's on time and it's in breakout rooms, it will send us back to the main one.
That's what I'm afraid of. That's what I'm afraid of.
It usually does.
I am not hearing back.
You're not hearing back? I mean, we can do this on a 30-second thing. Are you guys up for that? We do that on a 30-second thing? Ready?
Sure.
Okay. Stop, reset. Okay, the first person to answer it is going to be Christy Villanueva. And again, the question, one more time, is
In the chat.
streetlights. It's in the chat. Streetlights, it's in the chat. Christy, ready to go?
Yes.
Good to go. 30 seconds.
Okay, got it. So the best way to address that is through our zoning. There's a lot of things that can be taken care of there. We do need to have improved lighting, but what I have personally found out is that there needs to be adjustments with our, city issues related to how we dictate, how we build, how we execute things in our communities. So better lighting is a strong initiative of mine. Safety, making sure the curb cuts are in place, making sure the
30
communication
seconds.
is had. Thank you.
I'm muted. The next candidate is Walter Perry.
Thank you for that question. I actually have 2 neighbors who ride the scooters, and my proposed plan and the Perry plan will be for everyone who rides scooters and stuff. We're going to get you special jackets or like a flag that lights up at night so it can identify you and let drivers know that you are somebody that's riding on a scooter as we adjust those lights to the bond program. So there's going to be some really fun, neat things that we're going to do for the disabled community. So holler at me once I win.
Thank you. And the next candidate is Michael Good.
Yes,
30
ma'am.
seconds.
I think lighting needs to be prioritized. It's a safety issue not only for the disabled community, but the community at large. There are streets that are totally dark. It's like driving on a Wyoming highway. So lighting needs to be prioritized. Thank you.
Thank you. Next candidate is Chris Dawkins.
Yes, ma'am. Great question. I think the city of San Antonio is one of the oldest in the state, and we are just now coming into our own. So lighting is something that we have not really addressed totally, but I do think it is important. There are places that need lighting. You talk about people with disabilities, not only lighting, we need sidewalks and things so that people can get around. But I would like to see us put lighting in several different neighborhoods. And I've noticed that none of the
30
neighborhoods,
seconds.
none of the neighborhoods really ask for any type of specialty lighting, which I think is very important as well. But yes, I see it as being an issue, and I would like to address it.
And the next one is Norris Darden.
Yes, ma'am. So the bond programs are set up to address infrastructure and park needs. We have a 2017 bond coming to a close. Projects that are under budget or don't get done, that money's reprogrammed. We need to advocate for those funds to stay in the district so we can ensure the lighting, the sidewalks, those things are addressed. And then the next bond, we have to make sure we bring in all the citizens to the table to identify those projects so we can ensure they're in the next upcoming bond as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And Nika Cleaver?
That's right. Between the Tiers Board and the bond projects, there's money available to get sidewalks, lighting, and everything done. Projects are still not been done in the 2017 bond that are sitting on the table. Money just sitting there, not being used. 2022 bond coming up. We don't know how much money is going to be allotted to District 2, but we do know that we can use that money for infrastructure because that's what it's for. So that needs to be within the plan to get it done expeditiously. We should not be waiting 3, 4, 5 years for lights and sidewalks to be put in.
Thank you. And Pharaoh Clark.
Yeah, I have to agree that lighting is a top priority, not only for people that are suffering from disabilities, but also to help lower the crime rate throughout the district. And I think that a big important part of that is going to be working through with the bonds to make sure that the money's there, but then not only that we get it approved for a bond, but making sure that we stay on watching that money and that project actually does get completed, because as has been said before, when the project doesn't get completed, the money just goes right back into the pot. So it's not just about getting the bond done, but then we have to ensure that the bond goes forth and does what the voters meant it to do.
Time. Okay, and next is Dory Brown.
Yeah, I had been looking at the bonds. District 2 was allotted $4.8 million just for pedestrian mobility and street improvements. And I know over here in my area, they put those little, the curbs for wheelchairs, but they put them in areas that there's no pedestrian traffic. So to follow up on the bond, what the priority is, they could have, realigned their time and put in lights in other areas where there's pedestrians versus over here at 410 and Sinclair, where there's no pedestrians.
And last, Carl Booker.
Yes, I actually have a plan called the Memorial Light Project. District 2 is the darkest district in the county. Part of my goal and agenda will be able to provide reflective paint and reflective products that will be on the street and on the curbs, similar to where we have street numbers on the sidewalk. So part of that strategy will be through the city, county, and then through federal dollars to get that available. And then also in lighting the community, I think probably was that lady's major concern, the safety. With lighting, there will be safety, and we will take care of that through city bond and through federal dollars as well.
Thank you, time. You guys, we did it. We did it.
You did it.
Yay, we did
Yay.
it. Nobody got cut off. We did it. We did it. We did it. We did it. You guys were wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm now I have to go back and re-listen to this so I can write a story about it, because your answers were also really, really interesting and thoughtful. And thank you very much. I'm really, really grateful. I'm grateful to you for distilling it and bringing it to the finish line.
I was gonna say, now don't you go crying on us now, girl.
Maybe next week.
And I want to say thank you to the Asl interpreters who have been.
Oh yes, you guys
working their hands off.
No, totally, very much. Thank you to the interpreters, and also thank you to Jade, who was the one who made sure that the right person's picture got big, which was not easy since I was not following the script on the very first one. Thank you, Jade.
No worries, and thank you all for attending and communicating back and forth with me about any questions you had, and for completing the surveys and for being here tonight. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jade.
Yeah, thank you.
Great job. And Jonathan, you too.
There we go. See, it's not interrupting anybody. Leave the breakout room. Here we go.
I was about to say, here we go.